And we are live. Hello, guys. It's Fence Riding Shill here, and I am here with Netcat and Yanis, and we are discussing Agents of Chaos, the
Hello.
duology. Give me one sec. I got to send some group chats that we are live talking NJO. So let's hear people's thoughts on this. Net, what were your thoughts on these books?
Well, as I've mentioned before, I tend to see all this stuff as a huge continuum, but I just went through a synopsis of stuff, and I'm going to say it's a lot of connective tissue because
Yeah.
there's a lot of stuff that needs to be done to get from where we were before to where we're going to go, and it's very important stuff,
Oh,
especially
yeah, yeah.
in Han Solo's state of mind, and we need to deal with Han Solo. And that's basically what these books are about. At least that's my
Oh,
opinion.
yeah. And at least when it comes to my opinion about these books, I think they're mid, but boy, what's happening?
And actually, and I get you saying that they're mid, and that's part of
Yeah,
why
and mind you, I don't mean this in a bad way. I'm
no, it's
saying
fine.
this, yeah,
For myself, like I've already said, I see the entire arc as one thing. So to me, it's
yeah,
ups and downs, mids, ups and it's a huge book
yeah.
in my opinion. So we're
Well,
talking
it's
about an era, in a part of the book, to my opinion, that is connective tissue. To you, there are two books. To me, there are two chapters.
oh yeah, all right, but well, I mean it in the regard like I haven't read it yet. I'm planning to down the line, but you've read like the
No,
Wheel of Time book series,
yeah.
so you know
Don't
that
even
there's
get me
probably
into the.
some books in that series that are just kind of
Yeah, I know.
okay. Yeah,
Trust
so
me. Yeah.
that's kind of how I'm seeing NJO in
No,
that light,
I
where
can
it's yeah,
I completely get it. I'm just saying where my opinion is on Star Wars. I've
yeah.
got this loosey goosey thing where a lot of people don't really get it, but that's where I am. These are two
Well,
chapters to me.
to be fair, I had that same attitude with Jedi Apprentice, Jedi Quest.
Yeah.
Uh,
And if I had just read these books, if I had just read these books, it would be different. But
yeah,
but
say
uh,
again, Yanis.
The young adult or junior novels, that what are considered, there are a lot
Yeah,
shorter,
yeah, that's yeah, Jedi Apprentice, Jedi
especially if you're
Quest.
reading one after the other,
oh
so
yeah.
they're easy
Yeah,
reads.
and especially Young Jedi Knights too. Young Jedi Knights is intimately connected. Uh,
Yeah.
but
It,
I do see what you mean that again, like, and again, I was surprised because I thought that like, oh, this is going to be a short stream because I didn't remember much of these books after I went through them, but then like started going to my notes and I'm like, okay, there's a lot more here to unpack than I thought. Uh,
yes. And honestly, if I just read the books, I wouldn't be saying this, but to me, almost all of the Star Wars expanded universe stuff is actually in that I've read it a few years ago or more.
yeah,
So it's all in that melded blob sort of thing.
no,
So
I get it. It's you see it as one cohesive story
yeah.
uh, rather than multiple novel. Again, some people can have that disconnect where it's like it's just one novel and then another novel and then another novel. But no, you're someone who says no. It's just this is part 3, 4, 5, 6 of the same series.
And that's why I'm trying to make it clear about where my headspace is on
Yeah, I
it.
get you. All right, Yanis, what did you think of these? Probably been a while since you checked them over. Okay, eerily quiet.
Yeah, I heard you for a moment. If
Oh,
you
he
can
says
do
wait a
any,
little. Okay, that's
okay.
fine. Hope he's doing okay.
Oh, me too.
Everyone, thoughts and prayers for Yanis. He's got a doctor's appointment today. Hopefully, it's nothing serious, and hopefully, they can treat it well. Prayers, thoughts,
And,
good feelings.
Yep, my cat says hi too and says thoughts and prayers.
Which ones? Which one?
Oh, this was Jasper.
Oh, Jasper. Okay.
Yep.
Isn't he the one you call the maybe I'm wrong, the potato or something?
Yes, that's him.
Okay. Okay.
He's potato. You
Yeah,
can hear
but
him whining.
meow. Like I can hear him whining a little in the background. Hi, Jasper. Uh, but
You may
yeah,
notice that,
we'll come back. We'll come back to Yanis, and I want to talk about some of my
it,
notes here.
and you may notice that my sound quality is better than it was when I was on Scran's and stream earlier today. That's because I'm actually home now, and I'm in front of my laptop with my actual full-on headset instead of just
Rather than
earbuds
being stuck in
and
a
a
random
phone.
car from earlier today.
Yes, which is what I was doing for that stream.
And again, okay, he popped out again. He probably needs a minute.
Yeah.
But
So
hold on.
so for anyone that might be curious about why I sound different, that's why.
Yeah, sorry for that.
That's all right.
Yeah, I mean, the doctor had to come by.
Oh, of course.
Yeah.
And we can hear you
No
just fine
context for
now.
the viewers. Okay, good.
Yeah,
I'm speaking a bit loud.
that's okay. I prefer
So,
you're a bit loud.
yeah.
But what are your thoughts on this duology, as far as like
Uh,
connectivity?
okay, so I lack sufficient critical cognition if I am to use some fancy words. So I enjoyed it quite a bit.
Okay.
I'm, I mean, I'm generally a fan of James Luceno's books. I like his writing style. I'd heard
Yeah.
that these were boring, and perhaps because I had low expectations, I was a lot more open to them.
Well, from what
Um,
my friend Jonathan told me, and this is something he says, like these are not Lucino's best, and he says that respectfully because
no,
like these were his start into the
yeah.
EU. Like he
Oh,
didn't really
really?
start finding his footing until like Cloak of Deception and Plagueis and Labyrinth of Evil and Unifying Force. So this was just kind of his start.
hmm
But
Yeah.
for anyone that
Um,
is interested in Lucino, Plagueis, which it's everyone. I don't know authors. I needed to ask Natso and Scran earlier about what Lucino did.
mhm.
Plagueis is amazing.
Oh,
The
Plagueis
fact
is
that
fantastic, and
the fact
I
that
Yeah, that's
also
good.
Lucino
yeah.
did Plagueis is a credit to Lucino completely. Whatever else he did, Lucino deserves high praise for that.
Oh,
Yeah.
absolutely. But like I also really liked he made the perfect companion piece to your favorite movie, Net Cloak of Deception. That
Mm-hmm.
in
Oh
my
yeah,
opinion, it sets up the Phantom Menace so well. So
oh
when you
it
read the book and then watch the movie, you're like, oh, so that's why
it
Chancellor
it.
Valorum is so crippled right now.
Oh yeah,
I'd say they did the same for Labyrinth of
yeah.
Evil, uh,
Yeah.
which is my personal favorite EU novel. So,
Oh, you're the
Well,
second
just to get
person
that
I
out the
know
way.
who that's his personal favorite. Personally, I really do like Labyrinth of Evil. My only issue with it is that nothing really happens in it.
Really?
Yeah,
Really?
that's literally like I think it's a great prequel to Revenge of the Sith, but like it works in the sense of like if you immediately watch or read Revenge of the Sith right after you do the book, because if you don't, then like you kind of realize that all the meaty stuff happens in Revenge of the Sith, and Labyrinth of Evil is just set up for all the meaty stuff because no big characters die in Labyrinth of Evil. It's all just build up to oh, Darth Sidious has been using this place the whole time, but there's no big revelation of Darth Sidious. Uh,
Okay. I mean, you
I
have a
will say,
point
okay,
there.
never mind. One thing did happen at the beginning of the novel, and that's what we find out. What that business on Cato de Modia doesn't count.
Yeah. I mean, it's very much that's what's called the Dark Lord trilogy, so it's
Yeah. Hey, Arthur.
supposed to, I guess, work like that. Oh,
This is Arthur Lowry. He's cool.
Yeah, I've talked to him before on the Discord
Yeah,
before
in the server.
so yeah.
But yeah, so one thing I want to talk about with this novel is the Bantam era references, and
Yeah.
there is a parallel. I keep forgetting the name of this one general. He's not Kraken or Psalm, but he's
It's
big in the Black
Crespin?
Fleet. Christ, well
Are you
he
talking about
No,
Izard?
no.
wrong one.
He's a New Republic general. He's head of
No,
intelligence.
Bell Iblis.
No. That's Bell. That's
He's
Bell Iblis. No, uh,
Sorry.
he's in the Black Fleet Crisis. That's like his big prominent. He is in the X
wait,
Wing
'cause
books too, as well.
I've got the
Is it with a C?
essential.
Shit, crap.
Wait,
It's I was
that my
thinking General
Spanish friend?
Crespin,
No, it's not
but
General Crespin.
I know
Again,
someone
Okay,
else.
Crescent what it was what I was thinking of for a moment there.
give me a
I don't know if
second. I'm
the
going to
chat
open
knows
another
who it
window
is.
so I can look this up on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
So I kind of
For
have to.
for
Black
whether or
Fleet.
not they are worthwhile or not.
Now he himself is not referenced, but the woman he was married to, this one doctor, is
No.
referenced in this book.
I think they're divorced by Dark Tide. It says that I think they.
Well, yeah, they're
Yeah.
it mentions in this book that they're divorced.
Yeah.
That's why I
know
said
who
ex-wife, but
I know who you're talking about, but dang, nope. The names aren't there, but I know who you're talking about.
yeah, like I said, give me a minute and I'll have the name because I'm looking on Wikipedia right now just to
see.
I'll talk about a couple other ones like General Etan Abad. He was hanging out with Lando in that book trilogy.
Yeah.
Let's see. That's who it is. I'm not sure if it's General or Admiral Hiram Drayson. But his wife, it's like Doctor something, is in this one, and it also has yeah. If I just remember that last name, Drayson, but like him, like his wife and Belindy Kalenda are in this duology. And she's higher ranking now, but yeah. So anyway, it's nice to see these little. Hi, Arthur, Sergio. It's nice to see like these returning characters from the Bantam era, and they're not the only ones. Obviously, like you have
you had Yelenik Kala earlier. You in this book you actually even have one of the characters from the Brian Daly Han Solo trilogy.
Yeah, well, he's not just from the Brian Daly. He's also from the A.C. Crispin trilogy, where I feel like he got fleshed out more in those books than he did in the Brian Daly. Because in Brian Daly, him and Lewell, his wife, are just kind of there for like one scene in those books.
Yeah.
And she pretty much tells him, thanks for not asking him to join on whatever crazy escapade you're on right now. Because by this time he's retired. And I was shocked to see him here. I'm like, oh, it's Roa. So yeah, Roa's in this book. And then you find out the tragic news that Lewell died fighting the Vonk. His wife died. I was like, oh man. Because these guys, they weren't favorites, but they were like background characters from Han Solo's past. And I'm like, oof, like big. I'm like, I can't believe they took out Lewell. Her and Roa just seem so happy together.
Because you're right. In this book, they're just taking everything from his history.
Yeah.
Oh, I know, but you can tell just by how many like Bantam stuff pops up in these books because they mention Callista. Worth's. It's not in the first one, but in the second one, Worth Skitter actually makes a joke that Mara Jade had her killed.
Yeah.
I thought that was a little dark but funny. I'm like, she's like, oh, that's my man. That's my man.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Now, if you remember what my comment that I had to you before we started this stream was that those of you who weren't
Oh,
or
God.
aren't reading the books as they were coming out, we didn't have Bantamera or anything like that. We just had the book that came out yesterday.
Yeah, I know. For you,
Mm.
it's a meshed
So,
blob. You're
so,
you're kind of
so
like the blob. You don't see any difference. You're like,
no, so
ooh,
you guys talk about Bantamera, and I'm like, what the hell are you talking about?
I mean,
Bantamera.
blob.
Bantam was the
In
publisher.
theory, well, no,
Yeah.
in theory, I know what you're talking about, but I'm saying, but you say the Bantamera, and I'm just like, okay, which books were those? I don't have a fucking clue.
I mean, Bantam
Yeah, I
era,
get you.
the books which came out
Because
during the 90s and have the
Ba-
painted
I,
basically
covers.
everything.
in
Basically
in
everything with
theory,
either.
in theory, I know, but it's the same thing as you asking
Yeah.
me to separate things within an arc.
Oh, I know. But like
N-
to give a
but I'm saying
basic gist.
I'm saying that to Yetis because
Yeah, I know.
yeah,
But to give
it's
a basic gist, every cover art in the Bantam era was either done by Drew Struzan, Dave Dorman, or Steve Yule. If
like
we're talking about, I think it's
no,
Stephen Yule. If we're talking about the X-Wing books.
Jedi Academy trilogy was done by John Alvin. And
Oh, really?
I can't remember who did Thrawn trilogy. Some other guy did Thrawn trilogy.
Yeah. No, mind you, I'm just talking about like because the
Yeah,
majority of
most of them. Yes,
books.
Struzan did the vast majority. So.
Oh yeah, no, it was Struzan and Yule. I think it was Yule that did all the X-Wing
From the
covers, and
X-wing,
then
yeah.
yeah, and then Dorman did the covers for Young Jedi Knights. I'm not sure who did the covers for Junior Jedi Knights, but you know.
Hmm.
and the funny
I'm
thing is that
surprised.
it's I think that the people who are much more purists than I am actually do know the Bantamera, do know all the authors and stuff. But
Oh,
I am what you might consider the casual, long time hardcore fan, if that makes any sense.
Yeah.
no, I kind of
In
get that.
in that I've been reading them for so long, I've been there for all of it. But if you ask me for any of the analyses of what our authors did, what happened with publishers at what time, any of that, I'm like, I got no fucking clue. I just read the books.
I get you. That's primarily
Yeah.
like I'll talk about moments like these, but like
No, and I
primarily
get that. But I'm just thinking about me as opposed to some of the more hardcore, the purist people. They know all of the Bantam era and all that stuff.
Yeah.
But
I wouldn't
Netcat, think
consider
fast.
myself a hardcore purist,
Which
but
books
no,
did?
I get
no,
it.
no, you
Yeah.
aren't. But I'm saying, Ian, that the other purist people that would put themselves up against me, who've been reading them for as long, but they
Yeah.
are the
Yeah.
purest ones who tend to reject the Disney stuff so much more than I do.
Yeah.
They know all of this Phantom stuff more than I do because they've made it much more their life. Whereas to me,
Netcat, think fast. Which books did the Roger McBride Allen write?
not a fucking clue.
No, I already know the answer to that, but
They're connected to this duology, man. Come on.
That's
oh yeah, no,
fine.
they're intimately connected.
Not a fucking clue. I don't care.
A normal person on the stream. Wow.
I know. I work with normies and ever. Speaking of stuff that appears in these in this duology, the
Yeah.
Peace
So anyway,
Brigade, their first
back
official
to this.
appearance here.
Oh God, yes, the Peace Brigade. When I
Ooh.
saw the Peace Brigade come up in this synopsis, I kind of got a headache and wanted to bash my head against the wall.
Mm.
Well, again, if you do the Mass Effect equivalent, this is like the Cerberus to the Reapers. So,
Yeah.
Yes.
or the if we do Babylon 5, the Night Watch to the Shadows.
Let's just say hi, welcome in, welcome. And actually, the Yuzong Vong found them annoying too.
Oh, I know,
Yeah,
because a couple of times they kind of did their own thing and screwed up Vong plans, which I'm
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
oh wow, this is really biting them in the butt because they're
They
trusting these
use
collaborators.
yeah.
yeah,
The
they use
collaborators.
electronic based technology as well, so it's not like they're buddy
Yes,
buddy over anything.
Dark greetings. Oh, hey,
it.
Revicus, nice to see you, man.
It's that they didn't.
This is Marcel again. Hey, buddy.
It's that the Peace Brigade. It just fundamentally did not understand the people that they were trying to make friends with.
Yeah, well, what I kind of what I and to be fair, this doesn't just relegate to the Peace Brigade, which surprisingly mentions that they're not really a political group so much as they are a mercenary group at the start, at least. Um, but that they're not the only ones that kind of fall into this category. Same goes for the Huts, because they think,
Oh
Yeah,
hey,
God, the
if we work
Huts.
with these, yeah, if we work with these guys, maybe they won't kill us in the end. I'm like, no, they're gonna kill you.
The the
This
Peace
is
Brigade.
literally Palpatine and the Nemoidians.
No, the Peace Brigade. I thought were actually. Yeah. I hate to say it because I don't want to get full on political, but uh, like the people
go ahead.
who hmm the people who want to say hi, even though we are homosexual and we are gay and we are trans, we still want to say hi to our Palestinian brothers who would like to shove us off a roof.
Yes.
Or
End the
burn us
stream or
alive.
cancelled. We're cancelled.
Yes.
We're done, bro.
Just like that,
Sorry.
we're
It's
canceled.
over.
I'm
It's over.
sorry, but
No,
as I
no, no.
was reading
You bring up an interesting point because
as I
anytime
was
somebody,
reading as I was reading the synopsis, I was like, oh right, it's those guys. And it was those guys before we had these groups.
yeah, and again, like that's it. We'll put modern political crap aside,
No,
but yeah, like
and I'm sorry for that. Sorry.
that's okay. That's okay.
I mean, that's
No,
the
no, no.
analogy you thought of was the best. So, I mean, if that's how you
But
relate them,
if you want to go like back to ancient history, there were people that like collaborated with like the Nazis in the past,
Yes.
and
yeah,
they
I
thought
agree.
they were going to be able to stay in power. But no,
Yeah,
they ended up getting. And I used a Star Wars another Star Wars interpretation. I'm like, this is Palpatine with the Nemoidians and the Separatist Council all over
Yeah.
again. They
yeah,
think they're going to get some kind of big reward, but in the end, they just get iced in the end, and that's exactly what's going to happen to this Peace Brigade. Whether they,
The leopards eating face party. But the reason why I use the more current thing is that it, like you said, with them using the with the modern earned things for transmitting and stuff, they're
Mhm.
using things that the Yuzhan Vong find terrible and
yeah,
and
they're using machine technology and blasters rather than all the living stuff. What's
right
interesting is
and,
that they have
and
Vong among them, and they are using some of the Vong stuff
yeah,
within that vicinity as well. I'll get
yes,
to that later because one of the reason Luel died was because of a former ally of Han and Roa's, which was Rek Desh, who
yeah.
became one
hmm
of the Vong's big
Oh, I remember that.
collaborators.
And
Hmm.
that's one of the things that was making me think so much of the modern er, er, n- relevance of that because
Yeah,
they're
I get you.
using but because they're
If
using
you
the
look at it in that
things
way, I
that
guess
they
so. Yeah.
find in so abhorrent, and they're like, but we're on your side. But if they were to win, the exact thing that they're saying that that we're on your side, we're helping you with, is going to be what's going to make them be the first on the firing line.
Well, another example I can think of, and I know how you feel about comic books, but in Legacy,
No,
um,
that's fine. No, by the way,
the Sith
Legacy.
start killing.
Just to be clear, Legacy doesn't bother
Yeah,
me. It does not have any equivalent to it in novels. I've
Right,
been
right.
meaning to read that because as that's a canon that I have no other way of accessing, and I do want to actually read that.
You should definitely. But in
Yeah.
one of the issues, the Mon Calas make Darth Crate very angry, and so
And he goes berserk.
he starts wanting to genocide them. And then
He does genocide them.
one of the Corans is like, he's like, I don't have any love for the Mon Calas, but this seems like it's going too far. And he happens to be addressing a Quarren Sith Lord serving
Yeah.
crate, and the Quarren Quarren Sith Lord cuts down the other Quarren. He's like, I'm Sith, I ain't you.
Yeah.
I'm like, you have these villains with like dangerous like genocidal zealot ideology,
Yeah.
where it's like
Tendencies.
kill anybody who doesn't believe what we believe. Uh,
Yeah.
and
Darth Crate looks
it's
terrifying in that panel, from what I recall. He's
yeah,
got his
no, but
mouth
like
gaping
that's
open. He's like pointing at a Mon Cala,
there's
shouting.
my point is there's very little difference between the Sith and the Vong as far as like brutality is concerned. Like
Yeah.
no mercy or decency. I guess you could say they're jerks.
In terms of brutality, I would agree that they have plenty of other differences, but they're
Yeah.
both very brutal. But
Oh no,
I don't.
they're absolutely brutal.
But I
And
don't think. But the Sith don't actually aren't actually masochistic. Let's make it very clear on that.
Yes.
The
yeah, well,
Yuzong
no,
Vong,
The Sith aren't as massive. The Sith aren't masochists like the Vong, which again,
the
broken noses, split jaws, that sort of thing.
the Sith aren't masochistic in the slightest. Actually, the Sith are actually all about
Well,
the
Darth
power
Bane
of
might disagree, but
Yeah.
no, I don't think so because as he doesn't want the pain for the pain itself. He
no,
wants the pain,
it leads to power. Yeah, I get it.
right? But the Yuzong Vong, the pain is actually worshipped for
Oh yeah,
itself.
no. What's interesting, and I
Yes.
wasn't sure if it was. I think it was back in Dark Tide. It was a little bit here too.
Mhm.
But they were talking about looking for potential Sith, or looking. The Vong were talking about looking for Sith as potential allies because they still don't understand the Force. And
Hmm.
mind you,
I
the
recall
class
that.
that's
Yeah.
introduced here, because you had the politicians introduced in Vector Prime, and then
Yep.
the military class introduced in Dark Tide. So
Could,
now you're introduced to the religious cast
could you
here
remind
in
me if the embrace
Trickster
of
class as well.
could you remind me if the embrace of pain has been and introduced yet?
ACT.
Oh, that's it. Like since Vector Prime, I'm pretty sure. It's one of
Yeah,
like the
Embrace of Pain has
first.
been around since Vector Prime and Dark Tide, and
Okay.
the series that shall not be named, but I'll name it anyway, Invasion. Uh,
Mm,
I
okay.
heard Netcats hiss at that. To
Oh,
be
no,
fair, Net,
We didn't
no, I
oh,
didn't
do
who
have a
a live
problem
hissed?
with
stream
that.
covering that, so
I
No,
do.
no,
I think Invasion sucks.
keep in
But
mind the exact names of it doesn't really ring a bell to me.
they're not novels, Net. They're comic books.
Oh, well, then I wouldn't have
yeah,
a clue. I've got
they're
no
the
clue.
they're
If you
the
don't
short
get this,
books with colorful pictures.
my dismissive thing about comics also means I don't know the names of them. I
Okay,
just
so
dismiss
there's
them.
this 3-volume run called Invasion. It was being
Yeah,
done by Mike Richardson over at Dark Horse. I
Tom
think the initial
Taylor, I
concept
think.
was Randy Stradley, but he eventually, again, because NJO went to novels instead of comic books. But these comics were made later, long after NJO was over, and they introduced like a new character, Finn Galfridian, who somehow knows Han Solo, Princess Leia, Luke Skywalker, the Solo children, talks to them. Yet he's never been mentioned once throughout the rest of the new Jedi Order. So
Oh
make of
dear
that what
God.
you will.
I
Make of
think
that
that
what
with
you will.
Oh,
yeah,
okay,
I
yeah.
think
If
that
I
with
knew
Finn
about that,
Galfridian.
then yes, the hisses would be involved.
Yeah. Okay. Well, I'll say this, and this is the only, and I've said it in previous streams, but I'll say it again. The only positive thing I can say about this comic series is that it illustrates the war very well visually. It does the Vong
The
physically
chaos of
look
it.
justice, the death, the suffering, everything that's mentioned in these books gets a visual adaptation in the Invasion comics.
I'm fine
So
with that.
yeah,
Is
so I'm like
Remnant
that's
the last of the
in
3 story arcs? Am I confusing them? Is that
it
what the third one is
was
called?
it was Reunion, Remnant, and Revelation or something like that. I can't remember. Oh no, it was Reunion, Rescues, and Revelation. Okay.
Okay, so I think with the Revelations, it's when like it has that contradiction with the Empire getting involved before Dark Tide 2.
Well, they did get well actually that one takes place in between Dark Tide, so it makes sense that the Empire would be involved
Yeah.
by that point. Um
Really?
but yeah, so like that's basically that comic run is just kind of like
It's
it's bad. It's
New
like
Jedi Order, but with a
these
twist.
books,
Not a good
which again
twist,
I
mind
say
you.
are just okay. These books are gold in comparison to Invasion. I'll give you that.
Let's just say that not so knows which ones that he could really point out to get me really pissed off.
Yeah. One thing I want to address here, and because it's mentioned as far back as the Thrawn trilogy, because again, James Luceno does his homework. Uh,
Hmm.
the fall of Obroa Sky, and Obroa Sky only got like
Yeah.
minor mentions in the Thrawn trilogy as like one of the planets the Empire was attacking and blockading with their like dreadnought fleet and everything.
Mm.
I think even Yukio gets a little mention, but it's like very mini.
Mm.
And
Yes.
you have people in the Outer Rim complaining at Phalia at this point, saying, "Hey, you're not doing anything about the Vong threat."
Aha.
Mhm.
Okay, what I will say about failure is that and I've said this before. I'm not sure if I said it verbally, but I definitely said it in a chat. Failure is and he is the guy that you love to hate. You can hate
Oh yeah,
him,
That's
yeah,
his character.
but
That's
but
his
but if,
character.
but if you say that you hate failure, you need to make sure that you clarify that you hate him for all the right reasons. That you
yeah.
don't
Well,
hate him
to tell
because
you the truth, in a sense, because of the situation he's landed in, and it has to be him that this situation has landed. I kind of feel sorry for him
no, I
because
know
all he
that
can do is cast blame on the Jedi.
eventually you get to the point where you actually stop hating him. You don't necessarily get to the point where you like him, or at least that's for me. And you aren't to that point yet, at least not for where I'm talking about. But
Yeah,
you get
yeah,
to the
no,
point. But you get to the point where I stopped hating him and was just like, "We're cool, dude," and then splat.
I mean, part of the reason I think we don't like
It's the
Borsk Felian, the new Jedi Order, is because he's quite an incompetent leader, one could say, is that especially in the first 3 books, so Vector Prime and Dark Tide, he doesn't take the Vong threat seriously.
he
well,
isn't
to be fair,
incompetent.
he hasn't changed all that much since the
No,
New Republic
Yeah,
era.
he
It's
he,
been decades, and he hasn't changed.
he is not
yeah.
incompetent. He is not incompetent. It's that he is used to having in such a good intelligence backbone behind him that he knows what is happening in so
Mm.
when and
Okay,
this
yeah.
when there's this is threat coming from another galaxy coming at him, his
Yeah,
intelligence network is not behind him. He
CT,
doesn't
we were
have it.
talking about Agents of Chaos, New Jedi Order.
So
Okay.
so Borsphalia does not any longer have of what he is so used to having behind him. He is so used to having an intelligence network that is telling him everything that he needs to know.
Yeah,
And
it's his intelligence network is falling apart at this point. So
right. And yes, we get from what you're saying in at this point, it feels like we're seeing a leader who does not know what he's doing. And it's true that he doesn't know what he's doing, but he doesn't know what he's doing because there's a threat from another freaking galaxy
yeah, and again, I can
coming
kind
at
of
him.
like if this was Leia and Mon Mothma, she'd be dealing with similar problems. But mind you, she'd probably be finding better ways. With
No,
Phalia,
le,
he's
le, le,
absolutely out of his depth at this point, and
le,
it's why I feel
Yeah.
sorry for him a little
Leia,
bit.
Leia and Mon Mothma, they're used to not having pockets of of blank space. They're used to not knowing everything that's going on. The thing about the
Yes.
Bothans is that they is that it now I'm going to make a little bit of fun of Star Wars here because as a longtime Star Wars fan I can. And just like all worlds in Star Wars get to be one biome, not always. They do actually fix that and expand universe, but
Yeah.
that is the joke there. Er,
Mhm.
The Bothans, and because they've been stated to be such a good spy network, their spy network is all over the galaxy, and Borskfalia is right in the middle of that. So he is the spy master. He knows everything. But Leia and Mon Mothma have never had that. They only get what Borskfalia or the Bothans give them.
Yeah,
So they're used to not
Yeah.
having in in all of the information, but Borsk is used to having all of it. So now that something's coming from another galaxy, he doesn't know what the hell to do.
well,
But
it's
Leia,
Yeah. That's a
it's
view of
not
looking
just
at
that
it.
stuff is coming from another galaxy and he doesn't know what to do. It's the
I'm
fact
saying,
that
I'm
this
saying,
threat has been in his galaxy for years
well,
and he
that's a
didn't
point.
know it.
Actually, that's a
That's
really good point
yeah,
because they've actually had
Mm.
feelers in here that actually his supposedly perfect net missed. That's a really good point.
yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
So
think about it. Some of his own feelers could have been members of the Vong
mhm,
within that net because of the Oogolith maskers. So
yeah.
hmm
So,
it's
sorry,
Yeah.
it's
yeah,
Part of
no,
the.
you've got a good point. I was
it,
just thinking about it as the threat from beyond.
oh, I
The
know,
threat
but
from
it's no matter what, it's lose for Philly, and that's kind of
yeah,
why I feel a little bad for him at this
but
point because
But.
he's
but also as much as I hate failure, he does actually care about his people.
oh, I know he
Yes.
It,
does.
That's.
The
and
problem is
but
he only cares about his people.
yeah,
Yeah. The
yeah,
Bothans.
yes,
Yeah.
and that ends up being his biggest problem, which we saw before. And don't get me wrong, I hate the bastard, but
And.
I love his
as
cousin
he,
though.
yes, and that's one of the
Yeah.
things that I do like in the new Jedi Order because it actually shows that not all Bothans are Phalia.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And so
Are Borsk.
that's.
Sorry, not Phalia. Are Borsk
Yeah.
because
Yes.
his cousin is also Phalia.
Well, his name is
So.
Crayfee actually, but
Christia, thank you. Sorry,
so
but
That's
yeah,
that's why I used
precisely
it. If his
why.
if his
I
name was also
Yes.
Phalia, I would be saying Borsk and Treyas.
yeah,
But
yeah.
because
Sorry,
Treyas' last name is Crayfee, I go straight to
no,
Phalia
you're
and
right.
Crayfee.
You're right. Sorry.
The
Don't
whole
worry
part of
about it.
the
Again,
Bothans
it's been
and
a while since you've read the books, so
Names.
yes. So,
yeah. Well, again, like anytime I go through these books, I always like compound the information. So when something reminds me of something I've gone through before, I'm like, oh, I remember that. Like that's
Yep.
how
yeah. And
I'm kind.
so
I
the
don't know. I guess I'm kind of
reason.
autistic with that information, but uh,
Yeah.
When I was reading these, I had no intention to be talking about them. if that makes any sense. I was reading them just for myself. I did not have a channel at the time.
Yeah,
I
well,
don't think
it's
YouTube even existed when these books came out. So
no, they didn't. It definitely didn't.
No.
And one thing I
the
want to
reason
bring
I
up
think
is
that
because
sure, Nazo, if you want to
well,
maybe
one thing I
continue
want to
and
bring up is
expand
that,
on
at least as
something.
far as my next point anyway, is that they have to extend the council to more members. So you have
Yeah,
Viki Shesh from Kuat, and there's some shady
Oh
stuff going
right.
on with Viki Shesh.
Oh,
yeah,
Kuwait. The Kuwait
To,
drive yards.
to tell you the truth, because I've seen some of the sneaky stuff, and like even as far back as
There is
the
not
Bounty
good
Hunter
stuff.
Wars trilogy, I did
There's
not trust Kuat for a second. So
there
I mean,
is
the
not good
Kuat
stuff
very
happening
much
there.
acts on entrance. They're the biggest shipyard in the galaxy, and so they will
oh, I know that,
automatically
but you also have the
pick the
shipyards
side
at
of.
Bilbringi and Fondor and Mon
Yes,
Calamari.
Yeah,
But
but
yeah,
Kuwait is really bad.
yeah, no,
yeah,
I'm like I saw how their society was in the Bounty Hunter Wars trilogy, and I'm just like, oh gosh, it's these type of people. They're just like,
it's a it's like a caste
eh,
system, if I
well,
recall.
these are like these are like the people that would sell their own brother and sisters into slavery if it thought it would get them uh, higher positions in like
Yeah.
a royal court.
Yeah,
I'm
I
like,
hmm
hadn't looked at that at the time, and then when it happened, I was like, "Oh yeah, this makes
Yeah.
sense."
I'm just saying, just from what I've seen of this book, it won't be long before Kuat trades in its metal and Star Destroyer building for long
Yorick
ships called
Coral and
yeah,
Oh,
York Coral, York
oh,
Coral and live
Antistax. I don't know
ships.
what else.
okay. So what I was
Yeah.
about to say was biomass. Is what I was about to say.
Yeah, they'll have a huge ring of bio fleshy mass rather than machines surrounding Kuat.
The planet as a ring.
And
But
then you
actually no,
have yeah.
but actually no, they wouldn't, because if they believed that was going to be happening, then no. But if they could believe that they could just be the people that are just selling everybody else out, then yeah.
Yeah, and it's but
And
my
and
yeah,
then they'd be the
but
next on the wall.
yeah, that's the problem with all these collaborators uh
And
that
that
think
really is
like
the case with everything in this Yuzong Vong thing. Everyone who collaborates with Yuzong Vong really are the next on the wall.
well it's like
Yeah.
anybody who collaborate with the Borg from Star Trek, you're just going to become part of the collective. Same with the Reapers
Yeah.
from Mass Effect. You're just going to be
Yep.
brought into the same sort of hive mind mentality.
Exactly. You're just the
And
next on the wall
that's
if you do it.
yeah. So that's one of the I'd say like perhaps I think we can all agree that the new Jedi Order has some political messaging,
Oh, it
especially
absolutely does.
when it comes to migration and the politics behind that. And so one of the things with the whole Peace Brigade and even now with Kuat is that we see that the people who often side with the Vong are either like scoundrels or like big business types, one could say. People
Oh
who
yeah,
are
no, this
sort of
book fleshes that out
stereotypically, yeah,
incredibly well.
people
Yep.
stereotypically
Like
want small term gain instead
I
of
can't
thinking
remember
of
if
the
it's in the
long term
first of the duology
consequences.
or the second of the duology, but Leia tries to get help from Raltier for some of the refugees. I think it's in the second one.
It's
But
the second
Leia
one.
tries to get
Second
help
one, yeah.
from Raltier for the refugees on from Gaindine, and
She start
basically
she starts
they
in the
give her the
first one,
finger because
but
she's
yeah.
like, you guys are more concerned about your wealth than helping these people. So
Yep. Yep.
Nazo, did you say Gaindine?
I think it's
Yes.
Gaindine, yeah.
N-
Actually, it's Gedine.
Gidine. I'm sorry,
Okay.
that's how my e-reader pronounced it.
Is
Gaindine.
it's
I mean, I could
Gyn
be
D.
wrong. I just thought it was Gedine.
It's Gyndine. Yeah, I was
Oops,
reading
my bad.
in the synopsis, however you want to pronounce it.
I read it in my new Jedi Order source book. Here, let me pop that on the cam real quick.
Oh,
Oh,
that's
okay.
cool.
This
Well,
only goes as far as star by star. So
but if
any
you're
extra
getting
information would only be in those categories.
but if you're getting
Mhm.
it from the audio, I figured that you probably were getting it from the text to speech from what I sent you.
Yes, no, it is that. And again, like even if the stuff is text to speech, like even though it's just like a voice telling me what's going on, like because the stories for the most part are genuinely interesting.
Oh yeah, but I just meant for that particular word. That's all I was trying to say.
Yeah, Gainding.
There's
And the whole
nothing
role
wrong with
tier
it.
thing,
I,
which we mentioned previously,
nothing wrong with text to
role
speech.
tier later appeared in Empire in like issues 5 and 6, comic books now. Netcat, stay with us for a bit.
Oh no, I remember.
That's when
Empire,
like
Rebellion.
Leia.
They were also in the Rogue Squadron games. One of the
Hmm.
planets you have to
I
help.
mean, I haven't played those.
Well, they're exclusive to old Nintendo 64 and
Yeah.
um, what is it? GameCube. So those games
Hmm.
really need remasters to be put on PC or something because that would be awesome. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
but let's see. Oh yeah, and then Han going with Roa to sort of, and he's pushing Leia away because he's like, "There's something I got to take care of." Because Han is straight up going after the Peace Brigade in this
Yeah,
book.
Hmm.
Nazo, if
and
you lose the duel, you lose your soul.
and
Nice.
he's going after the Peace Brigade because as somebody that he knows was just lost their wife, I think it was.
Yeah, it was Roa
Hmm.
losing Luel, and he wants payback against Rek Desh and these people that would collaborate with the cruel alien invasion that killed Chewie. So again, I
Right.
can completely. It's straight up revenge motivation. But
Right. So he's going after them. He's going after the Peace Brigade. He's not so much going after the Yuzong Vong. He's going after the Peace Brigade.
well, he can't. Han can't really fight the Vong in the
I
traditional
know.
sense, but
I know.
mercenaries he can fight.
That's
Corporate
kind of
scumbags he can fight.
and that is
Yeah.
kind of my point. Yes. I
He's
just
like,
want to point out that he was going after the Peace Brigade. He's not going after
well, he's like, I
because
can't hurt the Vong directly, but I can hurt their collaborators and hurt
let,
and slow their plans down, and that's
let,
something.
let let's put it this way. Leia goes after the Yuzong Vong directly.
Mind you, to save refugees, but yeah, I get your
Yes,
point.
but my point is that she's going after the whole, but that's also Leia's mindset. She's got the diplomat's mindset, the diplomat slash general's mindset. She sees the enemy as them. Han
Yeah,
it has always been in in a much more or person oriented.
Yeah. Who's the first person I can shoot at? Yeah, that's.
Right.
yeah,
Which is one of the reasons why him and Leia have always been a great team. Because she sees
yeah.
the big picture and he sees who we need to shoot. That's
Well,
one of the reasons why they've been a great team.
well, I know they're Luke. So wait, what was he saying in that? Let's hang on. He says, "Hey,
Talking
what if we
about
gave the Vong a bong? That would calm them down." So wait, you defeated them? Yes. Single-handedly? Yes. How? Drugs. I
so
don't know. They're
talking
Yeah,
about
addicted
the
to
Vong,
pain, so that's
about
kind of
Han,
a clear
perhaps.
enough drug in their own.
they've got plenty of drugs, frankly.
If
So
they want,
talking
if they
about
wanted
Han
narcotics, they could just ask
right
the
now.
Huts.
Yeah. Yeah,
They
since
don't
the
want
conversation went
narcotics.
to Han really quickly, what were your thoughts on the funeral? Chewie's funeral, what like
Oh yeah,
memorial
see
he
that's
did
that's a thing I
in the
forgot from my
beginning.
notes. Uh, yeah, well, technically they had already had like a memorial if you go back to the Chewbacca comic,
Yeah,
but as far
so
as like a full
we
funeral
had
on
some.
Kashyyyk, I did like, and I kind of wanted to see it. Uh, Either Loey or Lumpwaru
Mhm.
wanting to fulfill the life debt because
Yeah,
I kind of like the idea of Lumpwaru, at least Lumpwaru going with Han on adventures. Because then we get
I
to
mean,
we
keep
get to
that
see
in
kind
mind.
of get to see him kind of filling his dad's shoes a little and see how they work out.
Yeah. I mean, that comes up a bit later, so spoilers, I guess.
Yeah.
Am I misremembering in that Lampuaro kind of felt the life that towards the Solo's children, as opposed
No,
to
his life debt was straight to Han, and
okay,
Han tried to make it very
well,
clear. He's like, no, Chewie already fulfilled his life debt. He
okay, so
saved lives and he saved children. It's like,
yeah, you're right.
and
Sorry,
of course the
yeah,
Wookiees like they can't
yeah,
get that through their thick skulls that Han doesn't want them around because
yep.
they'll just remind him of what he's lost,
No,
and
you're right.
he doesn't want another Wookiee
You're
following
right.
him around.
Yeah, no, you're completely right. My bad. Mm.
It's
With
hard for him to talk about because
yeah,
he can't just hit the harsh truth and tell them, because again, he either this is Chewie's son, this is Chewie's nephew. He can't
Yeah,
just give them the finger and say screw off. I don't want you around because you just remind me of your dad slash uncle.
yeah.
Uh, he can't he can't just do that. He has to try and put it. He's like, so he kind of like bull craps his way out of the situation, going along the lines of I was going back to say, sounds like Han is being a bit of a bitch. Yeah, no, it just sounds like Han is trying not to hurt the feelings of those he loves, but he wants to be alone.
With, with the funeral, I thought it was a great establishing scene,
Oh no,
especially for
it
Han, because
was.
it mentions how he's growing a beard, how his waistline has expanded, that he isn't taking care of himself.
Well, in
It
previous books, it
shows.
mentioned how his waistline sunk because he wasn't eating, and now
Yeah,
I don't think he's eating. I think he's drinking more because even that can expand your
yeah,
waistline.
yep.
So Han's probably getting drunk almost every night after losing Chewie.
and even at the end of that sequence, talks. I mean, you have him talking with Mala and what's Chewbacca's father's name again? I'm forgetting.
Itchy, Adichishik.
Yeah, it's yeah. You have them even reflecting that Han seems to have taken his death worse than they have when they are his family
Yeah.
members. So yeah, I thought that was probably the highlight of the first book for me. That and the ending, perhaps, of the first book,
Yes,
which
the beer
do
guts.
you, do you,
Atichishik, I think. Yeah. Yeah, that's correct.
yeah, do you remember the ending? Or like one of the scenes which take place near the end of the
Uh,
first book, Hero's Trial.
Somewhat, because I know he takes Droma with him as sort of like a Chewbacca substitute because
Yeah,
he owes him a debt.
yeah. I was thinking more towards the scene where he kind of forgives Anakin, or he not
Oh,
necessarily
I was getting to
resolves
that,
that.
but I might as well get to
Oh,
it.
okay.
Yeah, after the first book, he pretty much forgives Anakin for what happened to Chewie and tries to make
Yeah.
Yeah,
sure that he doesn't feel like crap anymore. And again, people told me that that wasn't coming until like Star by Star, but
No,
it's
wasn't it?
actually a nice surprise that it's here. So I'm like, oh,
Hmm.
cool, I like that.
and and like I was saying before we started the stream, I think it might be where people decide what forgiving might be. Yeah, that at this point, in this is the point where it's the beginning of the forgiveness, which he's been forgiven, but then in Star by Star, it's where they are completely synced, and those are two different things.
Hmm. Yeah.
Well, it's sort of like so I can kind of see that point. It's sort of like how the forgiveness happens here, but like they don't really kind of like have a heart to heart, probably not until Star by Star.
Right. And that's kind of what I'm trying to say. And
All right, so
I
I guess I'm waiting for that.
I think that
Hmm.
I'm on your side in what you're saying, that it happened here and then things just keep on getting better. But I
Yeah,
can see,
it's
but
a
I
slow
can see,
improvement.
I can see what people might be trying to tell you by this is it. But it's like, but do we have to jump from um I blame you for everything to we are best buddies?
No, no,
Can,
obviously
can,
people have to
can,
obviously people
can,
have to work things out for themselves.
And that's what I'm saying. I
Yeah,
like where you're at in that this is where they have the forgiveness, and then they keep moving forward from there. But the
yeah.
idea that at Star by Star, that's where it has to be. It's like we have to go from I hate you to best buddies with nothing in between. It's like
I don't know. Maybe
Nani?
I'm just better at forgive and forget as far as I'm
No,
concerned.
no.
But
I'm saying I agree with you, Nazo.
yeah, okay,
That's what
I
I'm
get
trying
you.
to say. I'm trying to say what
Mhm.
I think that they might be trying to say, and I'm
Yeah.
just looking at them going, Nani? There's a whole bunch of stuff in between. Nani?
And
Mm,
then we get to
yeah.
sort of the whole plot because as much as people like to say Han Solo is the main plot, it kind of gets overshadowed by the other plot, which is like uh
The
the
Hut?
plot that the Vong are planning to unleash a poison on the Jedi from like
Oh.
like what's his name, like Prefect Harar, Priestess
Elan,
Alon,
what? Yeah.
Commander
Elan
Malik
Harar.
Carr,
The
and then
same thing that they have already infected Mara Jade with.
Yeah.
it's not, well, it's actually not exactly the same, but it's close enough because hers was like
It's close. It's close.
a kum seed or something like that.
It's close enough
Yes.
because we know
Great
that the thing
naming.
that can cure this can actually help what she has. So
Well,
there
it's
are
funny you bring that up because another person I wanted to bring up was Vergir.
Yeah, that's
yes,
her first
that's
appearance
my
within
point.
New
Yes.
Jedi Order.
Yeah.
Hi, Bergier. Oh.
Well, what's interesting is even though I already know who Vergir is, it's interesting how the book uh, introduces her as
Yeah.
like Priestess Elon's
She's very.
familiar that's like kind of following
Familiar.
her around,
Yeah.
being loyal
I,
to her. But like because of my experience from Rogue Planet and Cloak of
Mhm.
Deception, which feature her
yep.
heavily, and she's even mentioned in
Yeah.
Outbound Flight. I'm like, oh, okay, so she's kind of working on the inside a little.
And I didn't know her before
Hmm.
that. So yeah.
I mean, publication order is a bit different, but I
Oh
think
yeah,
Rogue
no,
Planet was already out by this point.
I go by chronological order, so that's just kind.
So
But
yeah.
Oh yeah.
yeah, like if you want to get like a sort of leg up on who Vergir is, then I recommend other than reading these books, I recommend Rogue Planet, um, Cloak of Deception, and the Legacy comics.
Hmm.
Because
Mm,
she's featured in Legacy as well, which I thought was cool.
yeah.
But
Bergier is
because
very
I kind of know who she is. I'm like, oh,
she's
she's yeah.
yeah, she's a very interesting character.
Hmm.
And her being introduced as a familiar was very interesting because typically you
Hmm.
think of a familiar as somebody that is not like a full humanoid. You think of them as just a pet.
Yeah, well, that's they're
That
kind of weird.
is,
The
And
like because they
yeah.
asked her specifically, like like what are you to priest? What are you to Elon? Because again, she they set up the Vong set up
Hmm.
a scenario that made her look like a fake defector, and
Yes.
like Belindy Kalenda take her to Wayland to get kind of like processed, and then a Vong in disguise tries to kill her because again they're still trying to set up her cover story because she
Yes.
wants to meet the Jedi. By the way, one thing I do not I'm glad that they're mentioned in these books, but they really underutilize Lobaka and Tenel Ka. I'm sorry, I do not like that. Not even
As of yet. As of yet, I mean,
yeah, no,
they
because
feature.
like Lobaka is featured in the meeting with a bunch of Jedi that are supposed to back up, and
Yeah.
surprisingly, in the first book, even though I don't like Worth Skitter, he's kind of more the voice of reason because he thinks Ilan uh,
Hmm.
is a trap.
Is hiding something. Yeah.
Yeah, like this, like how do we know this defector is like? I'm glad he has that suspicion, even though I still think he's kind of a kid, or immature at least.
That is his character, that he is a bit, he's very much
Yeah.
heads first going into things. So now that we mentioned the word skidder, this is kind of, spoilers, but where his story kind of ends. So what was our opinion on that word skidder and his
I
death
kind
and
of
the second
liked,
book?
and it's more in the second book, but I kind of like Worth's
Yeah.
redemption a little
Mm.
because he's straight up knowing, like, yeah, I'm gonna die here.
Yeah.
You've got to stop the
Yeah.
Vong. It's pretty much some of the last things he tells Kip and Ganner, which is
Yeah.
interesting. And according to Luke, Worth kind of grew up a little, so I'm like, oh, a somewhat redemption for Worth, I guess.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
That's what I like about the whole dozen and two Avengers. So Kip's group of Jedi is that a lot of the people following Kip are these more inexperienced, these younger Jedi who are very much out there to, seeking for glory. They're not really interested in the traditional notion of the Jedi, which is to be peacekeepers necessarily. But over time, a lot of them they mature and grow into the role and what it actually means to be a Jedi.
Well,
Gunner being a
it's just
prime
a shame that
example.
most of them die as soon as they get that redemption.
Yeah,
So I'm like,
True
oh, cool,
enough.
you redeem these characters only to kill them because we saw
I
that with
wouldn't.
Daeshara Core and Dark Tide, and
Yeah,
now we see it with here with Worth Skidder. I'm like, well, that's not very fair. You grow those character and then you just ice them. Well,
yeah.
I mean, in a sense, I get it, but like in another sense, I'm like, come on, at least have one get out alive.
I mean, Gunner, he went on for a while.
No, I know his arc comes to an end later on, and I'm not going to talk about it yet because I know about his.
Yeah,
I
better
can't remember. I
not.
don't know which book it is, but I know he has his "You shall not pass" moment. So
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that the sort of, words get there were necessarily had the redemption because they're supposed to be on the good guy side of that. Makes sense. They're not necessarily portrayed as antagonistic. Perhaps a bit in Vector Prime with his first introduction. Um,
well,
but it's I'd say
their
it's
Jedi
more of
philosophy isn't the
yeah,
right Jedi philosophy because they act without thinking, and that's not a good
that's it.
thing.
It's like
And they
character
act aggressively.
development closer to than redemption, in
Yeah,
my eyes at least.
yeah. And then
But
let's see next up on the notes here. Yeah, Han and Roa going to the Jubilee Wheel, meeting Droma and the
yeah,
Rin, and
hmm
then the Vong attack.
I like how
Eh,
the Jubilee
n-
wheel is destroyed by a massive worm.
I know, and I couldn't find a legit picture of that until I looked into the
It
source book,
exists
and
somewhere.
I actually put it in the thumbnail of the stream. So,
Mm.
and it's like
are we still in the first book here?
yeah, we're still
We've kind of
technically
been
in the
going
first
back
book
and
because
forth.
I know Roa's ship. He gets sucked. I forgot the name of the other guy that he was with, but he was like a friend of him and Han, or
Yeah.
a mutual acquaintance that would help lead them to Rekdesh. But they get sucked into the giant worm, and the Jubilee wheel gets a little wrecked. Uh, and then Han has to, from this point on, has to work not with Roa but with Droma.
Right.
Yeah.
And at that, what's funny is around that time, Leia's already on Ord Mantell
Which he
because she's
doesn't
trying to
know
ask
yet.
for help.
If I remember correctly, he doesn't know that she is.
He hears about it.
Mhm.
Right.
Like the when Roa has him leave to go to the Jubilee Wheel.
It's
Roa
one of
tells
those
him he's going to
things.
Ord Mantell, and he had remembered that Leia was going to Ord Mantell. He's like, oh
All right.
great.
Because thing is that they didn't tell each other when he was leaving. So them showing up there was like, oh wait, you're here too.
Yeah,
Hmm.
and it makes me sad that like the politicians at again, it's because of how the war's just like bringing out the worst in people. And it went well for Leia before on planets like Agamar, but when it comes to planets like stuff that's mid to the core, comes to planets like Ord Mantell, she's getting nothing.
Yeah.
She's pretty much finding out just
Yeah.
how harsh things are when like people start turning on each other in this regard. So
hmm
I'm like, you got to stop playing politician, sadly, and go straight back to playing rebel because it's not working the way you think.
Yep.
Also, this isn't in my notes, but I just remembered it. C-3PO is kind of like life or death identity crisis.
Oh, that, yeah. I forgot about it.
I thought that was kind of weird. I'm like, it's cool that he's having these thoughts, but like at the same time, I'm like, this is kind of like weird for C-3PO.
We rarely get the droid's perspective on anything.
I forget
So,
what's happening with him. That there is something that's going to be coming up soon.
Well,
That
I know he gets a bug in his system when he thinks about all the adventures he's had with Chewie,
mhm.
and I guess it's James Lucino's way of trying to express that C-3PO is like any being, he has emotions and feelings, and some small part of it himself is glitching because he misses Chewie, and he
let
wonders about like death and should he value his own self-preservation
yep.
over dying heroically like Chewie did. And I'm like, that's a very interesting sentiment for a droid. And I'm like, I wish more robot stories were I'm sure there are, but I'm like, I wish more
Mhm.
robot stories are just kind of like them thinking about like,
Yeah.
is submission preferable to extinction?
Let's just say that in the next
hmm
book or two, you're going to see what they stole from to make Solo a Star Wars story.
Ah,
Mm.
Yeah,
Trying to
you you will
remember,
be
but
seeing where they stole.
I think I know where you're going, but I'll wait and see.
Yeah,
And then during that whole, sorry, go ahead.
I don't remember the exact book, but I'm pretty sure it's coming up soon, especially with what you were just saying there.
Yeah.
hmm
Er,
And then, yeah.
because there's going to be the entire droid revolution. We deserve
And
to
let me fire up
live.
Galactic Battlegrounds. That was a lot for Han to put on his kid. Yeah, it was a lot. But
But yeah, it's going to be we deserve to live. And yeah, guess what? Solo: A Star Wars Story was not original in the slightest.
actually, the
They
second
stole
book
that.
has.
They stole that too.
Yeah, they did take that. If you
uh,
consider what happens in the second part of the Agents of Chaos
uh,
duology, especially.
let's be
Uh,
kind and say adapted.
yeah,
But
If you want to
you
be
could say
kind,
adapt.
yes.
If we're being kind, if we're being real, copy, plagiarize, etc., etc.
Recanonized, but we still have the rights to all of it, so we can plunder everything we want to. Let's say it that way.
Yeah, no, I hear you.
okay,
HK-47,
so
derisive
so
statement,
then
criffing meat bags. Nice.
Okay, so anyway, I'm done there. Just
Yeah, no, the one of the points I wanted to get to next is they're on the Empire Queen, and they just happen to be there with like
hmm,
I forgot the name of the agent, but he was escorting Elon and Vergier, and then Han and Droma get caught up in the mix.
yeah.
And then God, what else is there? Uh, Wreck Dash and the Peace Brigade show up, but the Vong also show up, and they're pissed at the Peace Brigade because they're kind of meddling with the plan. They're like, "Oh, come on! Why didn't we tell them what was going on?"
Yeah,
It's one of those things that, like, because they didn't tell their allies that this whole scenario is biting them in the butt.
yeah. I mean,
And
part
then,
of the
yeah,
reason
you
they
had
don't tell them, and it's so secretive, is because they want it to be surprising. They don't want this leaking out that they're trying to actually get close and
There's no
assassinate the
source
Jedi.
material.
Yep.
Yeah,
And my
no, and
response was, of course
yes,
not.
Quote of the
of
decade.
course not.
Yeah, quote of the decade.
No, but uh, then you have Luke, Leia, and Mara to the rescue, trying to help attack the Peace Brigade, rescue Han against Rekdesh, and it sort of works out because the Peace Brigade captures Alon and they unleash a toxin on the Peace Brigade because they're like, this is not going according to plan. And then Han figures it out and he ends up knocking Alon into like a diseased escape pod. And then Vergere unexpectedly says, "Thank you for giving me a chance to help my kind again." And then gives her tears because it was shown earlier that her tears could heal to
Yep.
Mara through proxy through Han.
Poetic, one could say.
Yeah, and it's not a permanent cure, obviously, but it did help Mara a bit. Probably at least gave her a fighting chance against these coon spores, but still,
Yeah.
a lot of
It,
people are wondering,
for
was this the right choice? Did it work?
for Mara, it definitely was not a permanent cure, but I wasn't sure. Is it a cure for the strain in
I
that
think
was
it's.
is
I think it
given
did because
by
it's.
Elon?
Well, again, I don't think it's a cure, like in the sense of like it completely cures, but I think it like at least gives her body a fighting
No,
chance against the
no. My
coon
point is
spores.
that Mara is not a cure, but I mean for the people that
Mhm.
Elon and
I think
and
No, 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 no.
unimpacted.
Yeah, no.
by
Yeah,
the
mind
end of
you.
the book, Mara is cured from the
Mara
disease
is not,
because Luke
but
says,
Mara is she?
yeah, continue.
Well,
Because Luke says
it's
something like, "We won this battle." He says something along those lines. We won this battle.
yeah. He mentioned, and
Uh,
mind you, they also mentioned though that
Oh
the cure
right,
might not be permanent
yeah.
yeah.
because they're not sure if the tears will be enough, but they use them anyway. Try to just to, and I think it gives Mara's body a fighting chance at least.
I think it does cure her, but I'm going to shut up because you have not seen the rest.
No, no, and I'm looking forward to the next big one, which is Balance Point. But
Right.
so now we
I,
we get to the stuff in book two because that's kind of where we are now, and Fall of Gyndine, Worth Skitter Redemption. So I'll kind of, but now you have the Vong and the Hutts working together, sort of, and
Hmm.
I keep forgetting the name of his disguise. But Nominor is pretending to be a Peace Brigade guy, like a
oh
mercenary.
God. Yeah, but Naminor is a freaking asshole.
He is. He's the way
Yeah.
he's just like working because he's there with Malik Carr, Yeoman
Hmm.
Carr's brother or cousin, what have you.
And
Because
their names are also just assholes, by the way. Just the way that that they all have to be this apostrophe junk. It's like, for the love of God.
well, as far back as Vector Prime, you had Prefect Dagara, which was basically Da
Oh,
apostrophe Gara.
I'm not arguing that. I'm saying that this is the Yizang Bong thing. They're all annoying that way.
Yeah, they all have
Hmm.
like these very specific uh I guess you could say kind of pretentious names because believe it or not, as far as galactic
Yeah.
names goes, those names actually kind of sound like sort of pretentious. Nam Anor, Yeoman Carr.
Hmm.
Oh yeah, and when Elon dies, this is a detail I forgot to mention. She's actually the daughter of the high priest Jockin,
Hmm.
All right.
the one
Yes.
the one who serves domain. Is it Jamani or Jermaine? I can't remember. But they keep mentioning the massive hulking and I know he's massive and hulking because I've seen pictures of him, but the massive hulking Overlord Shimra Germain.
Hmm. Yes.
Which I'm
And
looking
when
forward to seeing how he is. I'm not sure when he gets introduced, but I hope it's soon.
well, when Ilan dies, she's forsaken almost, just like Shidao Shai in the previous book. It's like they weren't strong enough to defeat their enemy. Um,
Oh, what
so
one
like
thing
failure, something along those lines.
one thing that I would like to point out is that after Droma, at the end of the first book of this duology, he saves Han's life. He
Yeah,
has kind of gotten a new life debt, but his life debt is now to Droma.
Mm.
He doesn't he doesn't declare it as such, but he now wants to, after Droma has saved him, he wants to help Droma with everything that Droma and his kin to save his
yeah.
kin.
No, he's looking for the Rin that are related to Droma, and
Right.
some of them get
But
separated to another planet, while
but
some actually end up with Leia.
the point that I want to make is that
Mhm.
he has is kind of got
Kind of got what? Did we lose connection with Net?
Chewbacca life that Han.
I think we lost connection because you kind of faded out there, Net.
Yeah.
Can you hear
No,
me?
he's gonna come back. Oh wait.
Ah, crap. Can you hear me?
Somewhat.
Yes.
You're
Hello?
you're kind of
Oh,
you're kind of you're kind of turning robotic.
damn it.
Back out, and come back.
Yeah, one sec.
Um. What else?
Oh, I was
I
gonna
like.
bring up the Jedi working with Talon Card as well as Supreme Commander Nas
Mhm.
Choka.
Right. I'll quickly. So from the Essential Reader's Companion, I have a digital version of it. Boba Fett was supposed to appear in this book, but because it says here that there's a possibility that there are going to be too many characters, too many big names, something along those lines, uh, he was replaced by Big Bungie, it says here, who's also from the Brian K.
Yeah,
Vaughan
I
books.
noticed that. I was wait. I wasn't sure. Like I didn't remember Big Bungie. At least not from the older books, but
Yeah, I mean, I don't have that superb a memory either, so
I don't. I think he was like mentioned vaguely, but I don't think he.
yeah, he didn't really do much. He's an information broker.
Yeah. Well, I know
He's there for
they kind of rectified the Boba Fett thing with that short story that's in one of the Legacy of the Force books.
Practical Man. It's
Yeah, and
Boba Fett
I loved a Practical Man because it's another Mandalorian related story. I love the lore of the
Yeah.
Mandalorian, so
Hmm.
still waiting on Net.
Again, here from the Essential Readers Companion, the New Jedi Order's infamous in that there was, a lot of the names of the books changed around. Books were cancelled. New books were approved. So the original names, so they're supposed to be Solo Crusade and the Crooked Sky. It says here.
Yeah, well,
So
there was supposed to be a an NJO trilogy starring Danny Quee, but it didn't
yeah,
work
it's
out.
Nightfall. Nightfall. I think New Jedi Order Nightfall trilogy.
Hang on, I'm gonna send Ned another link just in case. Let me see if I
Yeah,
can.
in which with
I'm
Nightfall,
sure.
it got to the point where the first book actually has cover art you can find online.
Okay. Ned's
So
rebooting his computer.
yeah,
Tell him just in
mhm.
case another All right. Yeah, but yeah, like because I know previously they introduced Sabong Law, and so now they have to introduce his direct underling, which is Nas Choka. And again, I did like seeing
Yes.
I did enjoy seeing and yeah, Choka is like he's very much like treating Nominor and others straight up as underlings because he's very much I'm higher in the Vong hierarchy. Because again,
Yeah, because it's a caste
Nominor
system.
is political caste. So and because Nas Choka is closer to Domain Janame or Jamane, uh,
Hmm.
then he's got more authority because it's all about impressing the supreme Vong overlord.
Hmm. Yes, and even in this book, Nomanor starts out as he's kind of in hot water because he lost Helska 4 or
Yeah.
5.
He
Is
he
that what the
bungled the
fantasy book?
invasion. Basically, he
Yeah,
bungled the invasion, and he's also in a bit of a hot water because of what happened with Ilan.
yeah.
Uh, although he did cast blame straight upon Ilan and everything, but like still
Hmm.
he's definitely like in hot water with his superiors because the invasion didn't
Yes.
go exactly as planned. So
Hmm. I mean, using Von culture as a face culture, one could say, where one's personal image is very much important um, to, his general life around him. Is that you have to be the most loyal to the, gods or whichever god you choose to more or less be devout
well
to you.
as far as they're
Yes.
aware, like the high priests and supreme overlord, like because they are who they are, they got there through strength and everything. Um,
Hmm.
it makes sense that like if you can't be strong, if you can't follow the will of the gods, then clearly
Yeah.
you failed. Like,
Hmm.
but yeah,
Yeah.
there's also an upstart in the form of China Cal who's like sacrificing people to the Vong gods as well as trying to get the people of the galaxy to go along with their ideology,
Yes.
convince them, I
Hmm.
guess. Uh,
Yeah. Make believers out of the heretics, as they say,
yeah, pretty much.
to use the Vong terms. Um, hmm. So
Which
the
is yeah, which
huts.
is pretty much how they see they're like and most of them are trying to like when they see the Jedi because they don't fully understand the Force. They're trying to
Mhm.
figure it out. Like he's like these Jedi don't follow the will
Mm,
of the gods. Um,
yes, we follow different body or different, let's say, religion. They see it as a religion rather than it being something slightly different,
yeah,
disconnected.
it
Um,
it's funny trying to see because again there's backstabbing among the huts between the Vong because they're selling information to Viki Sesh and the New Republic, and also
yes.
trying because like specifically like the three planets that people are actually taking like hut information to heart because they moved away from worlds like Bathawui and uh what were some of the other ones, Corellia, because they were likely
Mm,
targets for
yes.
potential Vong attacks. Oh, Ned is back. Yes, he is. Okay,
Hmm.
there we go.
Oh, welcome back.
Welcome back, Ned.
Welcome.
He might be trying to get his speaker working or something.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, about the huts is that I found it interesting how they think that they have the upper hand over the Vong in the beginning. There's we manipulated them into telling us which plans they want, what their general strategy is, and we can now give that information to the New Republic.
Well, yeah, they have this this sense of delusion where they think it's all going to work out for them because they think the Vong are only after the New Republic, but they're not just after they're out to make the entire galaxy. And we lost Ned again, of course.
Yeah,
he's still having connection issues, but they're out
it
to.
Makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense for the Hutts to think this because previously they've never really been this, except from like ancient.
And crap, we just lost Yanis too. What the heck is going on here? Bro, what the heck? What the heck? Let's see. Well, this is a shame. Oh, here we go.
Hello. So
Netcat returns. Okay.
My computer's being a dick, so you get me on my earbuds with the phone.
Okay, that's something at least. And we just lost Yanis too.
Oh, sorry about that.
No,
Okay.
but what the heck is going on here?
Yeah, my computer was being a dick. I brought it back up, and then it still didn't want to get me back in. Then it claimed it was in. Then I couldn't hear anybody. I was like, "Screw this."
You sound like Strand Stream again.
So, yeah.
Yeah. No, I get it. Your computer's acting
because I'm now using my earbuds.
Okay.
So, yeah.
Well, you must have some bad earbuds.
So what I was trying. They're not bad. I mean, frankly, everyone tells me that they're really good when I'm talking to them on the phone.
Oh, okay.
But yeah,
I mean, I can hear everyone clearly, so they work for
me. I'm the one having trouble because there's a little background noise with Net when I hear them.
Whether they're good for streaming is a different question.
That is a good question. But we were talking about the Hutts and their double dealing
and what I was trying to say before all that was that with Droma and having saved Han's life, if Han kind of got to make a life debt to Droma, even though he hasn't made it clear like that, it's a way of him getting over.
Hey, Arthur. Yeah, you're
his
still here.
Debt to Chewbacca.
Yeah, no, he can't repay the debt to Chewie, but he's like.
Yeah, that's what I'm trying to say, and that's what kind of lets him get past all of his built-up stuff with Chewie. He's kind of getting past it by helping Droma.
Yeah, and what's interesting is Droma even mentions to Han, like, I guess, once you're done with my life debt, you'll finally be able to get back to your life, get back to your wife and everything.
Yeah.
And Han's still, I don't think Han is entirely ready because even the book kind of ends with him not really going back with her yet. But I thought that was interesting that because you don't normally see like a smuggler. Well, yeah, you have before, but someone like Talon Card giving the Jedi information, which was interesting.
I mean, with the Droma and the Rin, again, so maybe some parallels with our own world is that they're sort of portrayed as either the Roma gypsies of the world we live in, as in that they are more or less migratory species. That
kind of
don't really stay in one place. They're not really treated well by most people, and some other ones.
It's interesting that they mentioned
I forgot about that. Yeah. But yeah, you're right.
Well, it's interesting that they mentioned they made Sabacc based on their own fortune telling cards, which I thought was interesting. I'm like, oh, okay. Now I know the origins of Sabak. Makes me wonder if Pazak was created by the Droma as well, but
yeah. No, I mean, Drome also has this other subplot of him trying to find his sister and the rest of his tribe or clan, if that's
because only some of them made it to Leia
in the end. Yeah.
Speaking of Leia, she goes off to the Hapes.
Oh, yeah, I think
The Hapes comes
neglected to mention that.
And that's Tenel Ka, isn't it?
Yeah, Tenel Ka, daughter of Tenennial Jel and Princess Zolder, and Ta Chume still trying to.
You were saying that you wanted to have them be involved.
Yeah, because partially because I think it was Jedi Bounty that kind of made me a fan of Lobaka, but I was already like from the start a fan of Tenel Ka, and I just liked her even more after the book Lightsabers. So I'm like, you have two of my favorites from Young Jedi Knights, and you bench them.
No hate for Tenel Ka. I was just going, oh yeah, and Natsa was saying that he was wanting to see them. That was what I was thinking when I saw the Hate Consortium come up.
It's also mentioned in the second book, but briefly, when Luke is on Yavin, he says, "Oh, I think you're training with Cam or something." So a lot of these characters, they are, mentioned in, these beginning books, only to have a larger role later on. Because
that's the way my friend Jonathan mentioned it. He says that they are an NJO, but they're very background with their role. And I'm like, oh, that's a shame. You're bent. I'm like James Lucino. You had an opportunity to bring in Tenel Ka and Lobaka, and you bench him as background
it's
characters.
Mentioned in the. How many of you've seen the new NJO documentaries?
I haven't seen those. I'm waiting until after I finish NJO before I check those out.
So
let's just
one
say
of the
that
points which is brought up. If you want to continue
in the longer, in the longer run, if you want to know about them being involved, they are involved heavily. You will see plenty more of them. It's basically what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, that's what I was getting to, is that in the documentary they mention how certain events were supposed to either occur earlier or later, but they kept being pushed around. And that's I think Troy Denning said that, and that's why Star by Star is the biggest book, because it's the middle book 9 out of 19, more or less, and a lot of the things were pushed from either the beginning or the end part of the series, and they made that amalgamation, one could say.
No, I get it, but
Star by Star is number 9. Oh,
yeah, it's book
okay.
9.
Yeah, that makes sense about why people were talking about it being. Yeah, okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like I said before, the names don't mean much to me, but it being the middle book of this tells me a lot about why people were saying that.
Yeah. But you have the Hutts double dealing the Vong with the New Republic, and then
because of course you have them are.
Well, you have them talking about hitting. You have them talking about hitting Corellia, and that turns out to be a ruse because they end up going after Fondor. And
the Corellian systems always amuse me because they are the most libertarian of all of them.
That's why I like Corellians. They're incredibly libertarian, incredibly based people.
Yeah.
But of course, this book had the biggest unexpected, because I wasn't expecting him until later. The return of Thraken Sal Solo.
Oh, by the way, just give him a full-on fuck you to Thraken overall.
Yeah.
No, I dislike Thraken even. even more, and I just like the sort of welcome he gets by the end of this book. But
Yeah, in my opinion,
even,
I like him less than Borsk Failure because okay, Borsk Failure, fine, he's a politician, I guess, to like that.
Yeah.
But
yeah,
Draken's also is like,
Borsphalia
beat me up
is
when I was like
doing
12. I'm still mad at him.
but Borsphalia is doing it for his people, as misguided as he may be.
Yeah.
Thraken does it for himself.
Yeah, exactly.
all for Thraken, all for Thraken. But
So Thraken, I'm more than happy to say I just fucking hate him. He may be
oh
very
yeah,
well
yeah, he
written,
is.
but just hate him. That's fine.
I
But
forgot the
Borsphalia,
planet, but I know Droma got arrested, and one of the droids that Han encounters happens to look like Bullocks from the Han Solo trilogy,
Yeah.
from the Brian Daly one.
Hmm.
And I noticed Han kept trying to poke at him. He's like, "You sure there's not a little square droid in there?" He's like, "I'm very certain, sir." I couldn't help but laugh because like it's, even though they're not directly in it, that is a nice little cherry picked reference to Bullocks and Blue Max.
Mhm.
Yeah. Hmm.
And of course, Han ends up helping those droids lead a rebellion because he finds out that the corporation that's using organic being slave labor is hoping to appease the Vong, just like we all thought.
Oh yeah. Oh, it might have
So
been
he
that one I was
leads.
referring.
Yeah. So
But
he leads a
my,
droid rebellion. That does sound familiar.
that's what I was referring
Yeah.
to for Solo: A Star Wars Story. Thank you.
Hmm.
I mean, yeah, that one was on Kessel though, but like this is, I do see what you mean.
No, I wasn't
Droid
saying that it was a
rebellions.
1-to-1. I didn't say it was a 1-to-1. I was saying
Oh,
that
I
they
know, but
lifted it.
the concept was
Yeah.
very much lifted from that book.
Yeah,
I mean,
that's what I
droid
was trying to
rebellions
say.
happen somewhat frequently in the EU with the original Marvel droid comics. I mean,
Yeah,
it's
It
so
wasn't
but
just
there
the
was a
Marvel
very
droids, but it was the Dark Horse droid comics.
Yeah.
C-3PO, he gets like an enhancement chip, and
but C-3PO with this one had a very. It felt very similar to me.
no, I get it.
Hmm.
Han
Yeah,
Solo
Especially because
leading a
Han
droid
is involved in
rebellion.
this one.
yeah, this is the one I was thinking of. Yeah.
Yeah.
So yeah, I was like, bite me. So when I saw Solo: A Star Wars Story, I was like, along with my not my Solo, I was also going, you're also
Hmm.
taking this from New Jedi Order. Fuck you.
Yeah.
And then we have Han and Droma eventually catching up to Droma's relatives at Fondor, just as Kit Duran was chasing the Vong, the Vong ship of China Cal to from Calabria to all the way to Fondor itself, and that's when the Vong fleet arrives, and it's just an absolute cluster.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fortunately, like the Hapens show up at the same time, and you think, oh,
Hmm.
like all they need is like.
Oh. So, can everyone hear me
Um,
at least? Because I. No.
is Natsu still there?
Can't hear me?
I don't know if I'm the one.
Can you guys not hear
Yeah.
me?
Okay, we.
Yeah,
Okay,
we
there
can
you
hear
are.
you again.
Okay, where did you lose me?
Right at the
When you were
point
talking about
that
the
we
Hapens.
said,
Hapens.
Okay, yeah, and then the Hapens show up, and then New Republic fleet can't get there soon enough, and Anakin is faced with the tough decision of whether or not to fire uh, Center Point Station to wipe out the Vong.
yes.
But it's okay because
And
Thraken takes the choice out of his hand and fires anyway,
Yep.
wiping out a majority of the Hapen fleet and part of the Vong fleet.
Oh, and we also have to
Both
say
genius right there.
now we have to say thank you to the pacifist Jason Solo at this point for having convinced Anakin that this might not be a good idea.
Yeah,
Be-
Jason,
because
I agree with Jason in principle, but at the same time, I'm like, okay, dude, you're getting a little too frustrating. Like,
no, I know, but do you know where Jason's going after this?
Oh, bro, you haven't read the next one.
no, I haven't. I'm not at balance point yet, so
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, so we can't go into that. Let's
Not
Yeah,
just
yet,
say
not
once you
yet,
read
but
the last,
no,
I still
no,
remember the
but let's
last
just say
sentence
that
of Balance Point.
let us just say it's ironic that he's the one that wanted Anakin to not spill blood.
oh, I know. I
And
know. I know.
then
The big change happens in, or one of the big change happens in balance point.
and then due to, let's be all pacifistic and stuff, which Anakin would have actually been pinpoint because he actually had the mind meld with the station.
Oh, I know.
Mhm.
Actually, if Anakin had been the one to fire it, he would have been able to just direct it towards the Vong.
I know, and that's the point I
Yeah.
wanted to make, which it felt
Yeah.
like you were just kind of skipping over.
Oh
That
no, I'm
if
not skipping over.
Anakin
I'm just.
it, and if Anakin had fired it, it would have been pinpoint boom to whatever was being
Yeah.
fired at. But
Yeah.
because Jason
Surprise.
decided to convince Anakin not to do it, Sorokin took over and just went, well,
Yeah.
nukes all over the board.
Yeah, and that's that he. Believe it or not,
I'm.
he just made the situation worse because now the Hapens don't want to work with the New Republic.
Yes,
Yeah.
exactly. Thank you,
Uh,
Jason, for
Thank
Yeah.
you,
What do you think?
Jason.
Okay, I'm a bit of a, one could say, a Jason simp here, so I'll be his voice. Um, I don't think it's exactly Jason's fault because he's just being cautious. The way I looked at it is that,
Yeah.
you know, Centerpoint Station is you know, a weapon of immense power, and nobody really
it's
knows
not
what it's capable of.
Jason's fault, except it is the fault of a person who's being a pacifist, which is what Jason is doing. He's going, I don't want to hurt anybody. And by not wanting to hurt anybody, he
You've
hurts
hurt
more people.
everybody.
And that is what Jason is doing. So, yes, you can be
Yeah,
Jason Simp all you want, but this
right.
is what, like you mentioned before, they are bringing in politics to all this stuff. Not
Yeah,
necessarily current day politics, but they are bringing in politics. And this is what they are pointing out that being a pacifist does. Being a
Especially
pacifist
if you're trying to
causes
be a
more harm.
pacifist in a war with like cold-blooded aggressors like the
yeah,
Vong.
like.
Yes. And that is
But I
what they're
will
pointing
say
out, and that's what's happening.
that, in my opinion, I'll give Jason a pass because at this point he's not even like a full-grown adult yet. He's
No, I know.
17, and if we
And
are to,
it
like, you know, excuse Kip, we can excuse Jason too. Um,
do I
and
fully
I just the only
excuse
thing I
Kip?
find
yeah,
weird about it is that Jason is having a midlife crisis at like 16 or 17. So I'm like,
yeah,
dude, you're still young. You should be like. I know he's
Nah.
trying to be more like his uncle Luke, trying to be more, but like he's trying to be more adult than he actually is. Dude, you're 17. You're entitled to make some
yeah.
mistakes.
They're
I mean,
giving
this is
Jason
how.
Matter of
more.
fact, you're making them.
Jason is being given more authority than he should have for his age, if we want to get into that.
Yeah,
To be fair, we shouldn't be
But
giving any to people like Worth Skitter and Kip Duran for that matter. But
no, I agree with
yeah,
that. But my point
uh,
is that if we're getting into what they are actually showing in is let's do pacifist versus all this stuff, that's what they're showing. And I
yeah,
frankly agree with
yeah,
I frankly agree with what they're saying that if you are pacifist in this sort of situation, you just cause more damage, and that is what they're
look at
showing.
Annihilus's comment.
Fucking- True that.
Big laser go.
Yes,
Yeah,
exactly.
I just think that Jason's being more or less cautious. We have this big gun. So it's a nuke. Maybe we shouldn't
And
fire it right away because it could have unforeseen consequences, independent on whether or not Anakin could have made the proper
Well,
shot.
we
We
just had
don't
like
know
a
that.
and
we just had a
and
duology on the
I would need
dangers
to
of super weapons.
I would need to reread it, but did he have these problems? And please tell me one way or the other. Did he have these problems before Anakin got himself rehooked up to this nuke, or did he just go, "Oh wait, maybe we shouldn't"? After Anakin is
Yeah,
hooked up
yeah.
to the nuke.
In the previous book, like he's still trying,
Oh,
and this is where I think Jason is screwing up. He's still trying to he's still trying to see Anakin as immature when Anakin has actually matured quite a bit
yeah.
because he did listen to Jason's advice. He had also thought about other people's advice, including Thraken's, but
Can
he did
anyone
what he thought was right for his heart.
And
can
so
anyone in
he
the
told
group
him do
chat
it,
here
it,
do a
and
G-Man impression?
and so Jason went and do what you think is right. And then once he's hooked up, he went, no, 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 stop.
Yeah, I did notice. So yeah, Jason, like Jason's again. I'm not trying to complain about him because I know it's just part of his arc. But
Yeah.
Jason did, despite what he went through in Dark Tide, trying not to worry about like where he should be in life. Now he seems to be worried about where other people should be in life. He's
Yes.
at least at this point he's kind of acting like a busybody.
Yeah.
Yes, that is what I'm saying. He has turned into a pacifist who's telling others to do what he thinks they should do after he's told him do what your heart tells you. And guess what?
Hmm.
Kaboom!
It's yeah, it backfired
Nukes,
because of Thraken. Oh, hey, Aaron
nukes
Inquisitor.
all over the field.
Yeah.
G-Man breathes
Yeah.
audibly.
Can anyone
Did
do
someone
I was
say
about
unforeseen consequences?
Okay, can anyone have a crack at a G-Man impression here? I don't
I,
know.
I don't. I didn't play Half-Life, so I'm not that big of.
Right.
It's been a long
fan. I'll
time.
try.
Unforeseen
Right. So
consequences.
this is either gonna work out or be mega cringe. So here it goes. Did someone say unforeseen consequences?
Oh no, that's perfect. The lilt up at the end of there, that's perfect.
Okay.
Yeah,
That actually went through. Why is like G-Man
Excellent.
in these novels? He should have been a part of these. Where's the G-Man when you need them?
but so no, I have no sympathy for Jason here. Jason is the pacifist that that causes more devastation because he's being a pacifist. But that actually is part of his growth. Like, into someone who has no problem with it sacrificing people for the greater good.
I don't normally like to curse on these streams a lot, but I'm going to say this. You guys ever seen like the current? Was it Kong Skull Island?
I've
No, I
seen it.
don't think so.
In that instance, Jason is like Brie Larson going. It was what was it? The world is better than this, and then Sam Jackson goes, "Bitch, please."
Yes, pretty much. Yeah.
Yeah, I
It's
quit
it's
watching that movie after the first 10 minutes. I recall now.
that's
Yeah.
fine,
Yeah.
but like that particular scene is it's like the world is bigger than this. Bitch, please.
Yes.
But
So yeah. And
Anyway,
I say fuck Jason Solo and the fastest horse that he ran in on.
I can kind of understand that because even his, I mean, I didn't think about how Jason's pacifism, and it ended up being the cause of the problem. I was thinking more
Yep.
like, oh, Thraken, you idiot.
But let's say that Thraken didn't do anything. Then the Vog would have just rampaged through.
True.
So
They would have just hit Fondor unopposed. Although the Hapens could have held them long enough for the New Republic to hit. And again, Anakin even tells Jason, like, I had the shot. I could have done it without, causing a single casualty.
Yes. So Anakin could have done it if Jason did get involved. If Jason so it could have happened there. Jason could have stopped them, and Thraken did get involved. Then there would have been tons of casualties, and maybe they wouldn't have lost the Hapen alliance, but the Hapens would have been still devastated. Each thing that happened because Jason was being a pacifist was devastating to the side of the non-Vong.
Yeah.
What I recall.
So whatever came out of Jason's convincing Anakin not to fire was devastating to everyone besides the Yuzong Vong. He only helped the freaking Yuzong Vong, either side.
Pretty much.
So
what I recall from the
Hapens them.
Yeah. So what I recall from the Hapens, sorry.
No, go ahead. I'm done.
Yeah, what I remember from the Hapens at the end of this novel, if I'm to, I guess, say this really quickly, is that they, even though that they're not willing to really work with the New Republic after the Battle of Fondor, is that they regard the fallen of the Hapens as dying heroically, or that they died for the greater cause of fighting against the Yuzang Vong.
Yeah,
So
but keep in mind they're also talking about isolationism, which is pretty much, that's pretty much is what's going to kill them in the end.
Yeah, they don't see it as a complete waste of life, is what I recall.
And so, Thraken is now the hero of the hour, though.
Isn't that insane?
That really, like, I wasn't normally emotional, but like that kind of pissed me off. I'm like,
I found that very angering, and for all the reasons that you've already heard me yelling about with the pacifist shit, because Thraken would never have gotten that if it weren't for Jason's being a freaking pacifist, and then Thraken got to throw nukes all over the field. And then he's the hero.
Yeah.
He wiped out half the Hapen fleet, but he also hit a portion of the Vong, so hero of the hour, yay!
To use an analogy, it's like pissing in a gas station.
By the way, my phone is at 1%. I didn't realize that I didn't have it plugged in. So I may be about to die.
All right. Well, I'll wrap it up here anyway, because there's one more detail I think we need to discuss, and that's Senator Vicky Sesh working with Nominor. Because again, I knew from the start. I'm like, oh, those cowards, those Kuwati royal cowards. Like,
yep, Kuwat of Kuwat.
But no, that's like that. I'm like I didn't trust the Kuwati for a second, basically.
But yeah, like I said, of course they are.
No, that's like that. That's another thing. That's like I enjoyed bits of this novel, and I think even though I think it's mid, or these novels, even though I think they're just kind of mid, but the ending definitely left like, and not in like a bad way, but left a bad taste in my mouth because of this whole like, oh, now they're working with the Vong. Oh, now Thraken South Solo is the hero. Oh, Jason's pacifism ruined. I'm like, yeah, this is they're not bad. They're not bad books, but they leave a bad taste in your mouth because of the state of the war now.
May I just
well,
say that
Help
what I was
is.
saying in earlier today, that my favorite movie is Phantom Menace because I love the political machinations.
mhm.
This applies here too.
Oh yeah, and
Mm.
also the Jedi's are now the fall guys because they trusted information from the Hutts and from Talon Cart, and the Hutts are as good as dead because they betrayed the Vong. So
Yeah.
Yep. hmm
Galaxy's
I
going
mean,
to hell in a handbasket, and there's nothing anybody can do about it.
Oh, yeah.
Yay!
if I'm gonna say my last two statements here,
Okay.
really quickly, I don't want to make the stream go any longer than I think Nazo wants to. So with Vicky says is that on the cover of Hero's Trial, and generally the way she's described, she looks kind of Vong-like.
Oh, that's not Vicky Sesh. That's Ilan.
Ooh, oh, that's Ilan, eh? Oh, my bad. But even
No,
then, like a lot of
Vicky Sesh
images,
looks
uh,
normal, like
yeah,
but
she's a
with like
human
fancy
with like
robes.
long black hair. But even then, like the long robes, she does kind of like remind me of a Vong, like these large, intricate dresses where you don't necessarily know what they're made of. But that's, I guess, maybe more of a Star Wars thing. And secondly, at the end of the duology, when Thraken fires the weapon and he's hailed as a hero, Han doesn't know. And Leia jokes about, oh, wait till your father finds out because he doesn't read the news or something.
Yeah, especially it's like, and Leia actually gets mad at him because there seemed to be like an implication that Anakin was going to be the one to fire it or was the one to fire it, and when Han finds out who really fired it, it's that's going to be something to talk about at the dinner table if he ever comes home.
Yeah.
Well, gentlemen, this has been more eventful than I thought it would be. Because again, I didn't think these books were like particularly great.
But they still had a lot of stuff to talk about in them.
Oh, they absolutely
They're
did. So, and I'm even more looking forward to Balance Point to see how this is going to go down because I've heard
the weakest.
Like I said before, connective tissue.
Yeah, but yeah,
Need
I'm hoping to see because I've heard mixed things about Balance Point. Some say it's great, some say it's awful. So we'll see. I think I'll enjoy it.
The entirety of New Jedi Order is great. It has ups and downs. I can't tell you where the ups and downs exactly are.
Yeah, I get it though. I get it though. I'm still very much excited for what's coming next though.
So even the ebbs are good because the ebb is just waiting for the flow.
Oh, I know. I'm waiting for the next flow because I hit the flow at the beginning and now I hit the ebbs and I'm just waiting for the next flow.
And that's all I'm saying. When you hit the ebb, just wait for it. The flow is coming.
Oh, I get you.
Yep.
But anyways, and any of you guys want to come back next time, more than welcome to. Thank you again for joining me for more New Jedi Order antics, and
my pleasure.
please follow Netcat. Please like, share, subscribe his stuff. Click the bell.
I'm weird, I know, but I'm a fun weird.
And Yanis said he doesn't want that, but still, just keep an eye out him in the comment sections and keep him in thoughts and prayers for his doctor's appointment today where he is. And...
I mean, no, I'm fine. I'm done now.
Oh, okay.
Good. Be well.
So I'm coming out in a couple of hours.
Good.
You were to shout out anybody, you can shout out my wonderful mother who helped, who just generally deals with my BS. So can we get a mom shout out?
Shout out to Yanis's mother. I hope she has a wonderful day. happy life for further. I don't know. I'm not good at these things, but I'm trying.
Yeah.
But
You're good
seriously,
enough.
all the best to her for her love and
Yeah.
support and kindness to you, and
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. Thanks.
and yeah, I'm looking forward to Balance Point and talking out with anybody else who wants to hop on, join, and discuss it. Who has checked out the book? So,
And
anyway,
I'm really glad I did not crash out on you this time. So yay.
yeah, sort of, with that little problem with your computer. But other than that, yeah, you didn't really crash out.
I didn't physically crash out on you.
No. You were last time you were sick and tired, but I get it.
Yeah.
So thank you so much again for joining, guys. Thank you to anybody in the comments section and to anybody who rewatches, likes, shares, and subscribe to these streams. My first time through NJO. I appreciate you all. Thank you so much.
And isn't it great seeing a shill like you actually enjoying the expanded universe?
I know, right? I mean, I'm just waiting for my paycheck from Disney, but you know.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Thank you again.
Yep.
I'll see whoever next time who wants to join and pop in.
Just remind me, as long as I'm available, I'll be here.
All right.
Yeah.
Have a good night,
try to
guys.
also be
Yeah,
here,
yeah.
so, I mean, good morning
I'll
from me
message
right
you for
now.
sure in
Sun
case
has
you want to
just
join
come
in.
up.
Yeah. All right. Bye, guys. Thank you
April
so much.
Fools. April Fools. Bye bye.
April Fools. Bye
Toodles.
bye.
Bye.